Welcome to the Battlefield Show. I'm your host, Sage Goodwin, and as always, I'm joined by Sammy Boy. How you doing, man?
I'm doing well, man. How are you?
Doing really good. Excited to hop into the podcast today. We've got a lot to talk about. We've got Battlefield 2042 Redux, as well as some details on Season 6. So, let's jump right in. We were talking about a couple things before we started recording. One, last week's episode, my audio got corrupted because I was on vacation, and unfortunately, it didn't work out. Tried to do the fun whole remote work thing of like, oh, I'm going to be at the beach and then also be super productive and record an episode of the Battlefield Show, and then like nothing's going to mess up at all. Then I forgot my cable for my microphone. I got the microphone and the audio interface 100%, but I didn't have the freaking cable to connect everything. So I was using my laptop, microphone, and a pair of headphones, and that was not the combo, unfortunately. So we talked about all
of the... It's a shame because we had a couple of good rants in that episode.
It was like a therapy session.
Yeah, that's actually like one of them, like that's something that our viewers and listeners are gonna always wonder what we talked about on that episode, because I'll just say we ranted.
Imagine all of the spite of the last almost 2 years combined into one episode around DICE.
I really let go on that episode. That's probably, to be honest, it's probably a good thing that no one will ever hear.
Yeah,
we were quite like, it was fair, but we were quite savage. So yeah, maybe just keep that one for us. But no, it's actually a shame. Like, it's actually a shame that it was that episode of all of them that we were so both so passionate about it.
Yeah,
and now it's just like they'll never hear that. So that's a fun little inside story for us for the future.
Unfortunately, you will all never get to hear that unless I can do some magic in the background and just, I don't know. But we talked about
reenact it.
Yeah, it was a really, it was talking about all the controversy. So DICE, let's just do a little bit of a mini recap here. We don't have to go through all the details, but it was another one of those cases of DICE not reading the room. It was around the specialist system, and it was an interview with, I think, Game Informer around how players just, quote, didn't understand specialists, so that's why it didn't work in the game.
And we did not like that very much, did we?
Yes.
We said some our opinions on that. And that is probably all we need to know.
Yeah. So imagine like if Sammy and I were like uncensored and just unplugged kind of thing of like just pure ranting around. Just I really the idiotic response that has of generally just not understanding the player base and blaming the player base in general was just something I feel like was in poor taste from someone who didn't have a whole lot of experience with the game franchise. As far as we know, I think they got hired for the support, and just generally not really taking responsibility, I should say, in terms of Battlefield response, and just generally they were not kind, and we also reciprocated in that way of not being kind.
Yeah. Yeah, it was very, like you said, very therapeutic, but unfortunately they'll never hear it, so that's it's now lost in the archives, and it's only us that will ever know what was said on that episode.
We feel a lot better. I feel like we're coming into this episode with a lot better energy and passion around it. Yeah. I think that was good. But yeah, generally, we're disappointed in the DICE team in terms of how they handled the whole situation and their responses, and generally like they're slowly like whittling away the goodwill that they've built up continuously, I feel like, especially with all of the weird bans that they had, the weird responses to that, the lack of communication, and generally just handling it in a way that doesn't really lend to like community development. You want to know who does a great job? Like switching gears, let's talk a little bit about positivity here. Outlaws. That whole team is doing the best job I've ever seen of anything in Star Wars, period. And in gaming in general, I'd say they're in like the top 5.
Yeah.
Game comes out next year.
It's not even like it seems like it's coming out like next month.
Mm-hmm.
Like the way they're talking about it and being so open about it. So yeah. It's just mental in the gaming industry how much that varies. It shouldn't be that like it. I don't know. In most other industries, there's not that much variation in like communication and that side of stuff. In the gaming industry, it's like some companies just do it so poorly compared to others, and it just doesn't make sense. Because it's the most simple of every type of like of every element of making a game. The communication has to be surely the easiest. You just get a community manager or a team of community managers and just literally get them to tweet, get them to be in Discord servers. Like, it's not that hard. You don't have to, it's not developing a game. It's just like, just talk to us.
Yeah.
So, I don't know.
They had a whole fan kit. They had a whole fan kit, literally. They gave you the rundown details, some new details, concept art, screenshots, details around the characters. You can see that the main character has like a little alien tattoo of her buddy, and like that's awesome. And then you have Dice over here that's like, I know you guys are looking forward to season 6. Here's like 2 seconds of gameplay. I understand the want of secrecy, but I don't think that works anymore. I think you need to, especially in this day and age with so much content. We're in one of the best years of gaming, period. If you're not bringing your A game, you're not bringing your game.
Yeah, it's they clearly don't understand like firstly like creator marketing, like the more that you communicate with not just the creators but just your community in general. That's proven to work so well. But yeah, I don't know. They're just not, they are very behind the times in like every way. I think secrecy like leading up to the reveal of a game is really exciting. Like they did it really well actually with the launch of, or not the launch, but the reveal of 2042. That was really good. They were very mysterious and like changing all their banners and, you know, all the stuff on Twitter, and the old Battlefield games like covers were glitching out and stuff. Like that was really cool. That's the right type of mystery. But when we're in the live service and it's still mysterious, that's not how it's meant to be. It's meant to be very transparent once the game's actually out, and they just seem to have stuck with the mystery. So yeah, I don't know. They're living in like 2013, and they really do need to change it. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but we teased it a little bit here. We have a lot of news. Like we were talking about this before we recorded. Like I was honestly like, what are we going to talk about this week? And then like even today we got more details around some of the stuff that's coming. Season 5, or let me rewind here. In between season 5 and season 6, season 5 is coming to a close, but it's not just going to abruptly end. They have something called the Redux event. And that's leading up to October 10th, I believe it is. We're going to be playing every week or every other week new experiences or old experiences. The limited time only modes that we got throughout each season so far, those are coming back with improvements based off of the feedback that we had while playing those different limited time only modes, which I think is great. We've been wanting this. We've been talking about this. Like, I'm ready.
Yeah, I have very like mixed opinion, not even mixed opinions. I'm just like curious about what it means for the future, but for what they've actually outlined in this Redux thing, I think it's a pretty cool idea. It just depends on what it leads to is my only area of concern.
Yeah.
But I think it's going to be cool if they're not doing the season right away, then yeah, this is a cool little flashback. And yeah, some of those games, we even talked about that. We were like, I wish they'd bring them back. So we're getting our wish there, and especially like some of the skins that I kind of wanted at the time, and I was like, then I don't know, maybe I just won't. And then once they were gone, I was like, damn, I kind of wish I
maybe I should have.
Skins. And so now we have the ability to do that. So I think it's a cool idea. It's just, and we'll get into this obviously later on, but it's more about where it's going that has me slightly concerned. But overall, what they did announce was good, I think.
Yeah, and like we said, like I'm excited almost, like obviously there's the whole like there's the excitement to play my favorite modes, but I'm also interested to see what they do with especially like that first limited time only mode, that like mid-season event that we got. It was awful. Like it was super boring. Yeah. It wasn't really well balanced, and it kind of wasn't, it didn't live up to the expectations that we had for it, for sure, because we were both super hyped around it. Limited time only mode, that's going to be smaller. It's only going to be 8v8, right? Or no, it was 8 total in the first week, and then it went to 16 total the second week. So I'm excited to see what they do there. And then obviously, all of the other good ones, I think
there was some of the ones from the... It was season 3 with Spearhead. Some of those were like
that one. Honestly, is good, probably it's going to be really fun.
Yeah. I think like it was like they needed. I remember us saying like it just needed a slight tweak to it. It didn't feel fully balanced and stuff, but it had like it had strong bones. It felt like it could be something good. So yeah, because they've gone through and rebalanced, especially putting them on some extra maps too. I think some of these are going to be really good, and I think the ones that were already good are obviously they probably didn't even need to change those at all. But like you said, the thought of being able to play some of those that I wasn't the biggest fan of, even though it sounds weird saying I didn't like it, but I'm keen to play it again because I think I'm kind of keen to give them another chance, just because they all did feel like they could play well, and then when you played them they were a bit like not too sure, and I felt like it was a bit rushed. Now that they've had the time to rebalance and add a few more maps, I think they should mostly be, or I shouldn't say I think they'll be good, because we have no idea, but I hope that they'll be better than they were originally. You would think so. I'd say like the key highlights for me in terms of my favorites would be like Battle of Nordvik. That was an almost perfect like mid-season update. Like it fit the theme of the map and the whole season so well. And then I think it was Leviathan Rising. That was a pretty good one as well. I enjoyed that one. Yeah. Shutdown, I think, was a really fun one. Yeah, Shutdown. That, like, I'm really keen to play that again. I think that'll be a lot of fun.
It was so unique. Like, that was something very special. It was one of those things that, like, you couldn't really do in Portal. And that's what I want out of a limited time only mode. I want to feel like I'm not just playing Portal.
Exactly. If you're going to do a limited time mode, it has to be... They kind of need to get a bit like wackier and different, I think. That was the issue actually with some of those ones. Even the ones from season 3. They were just... It was kind of just like Conquest with a twist. And they're still okay, but it's just, it needs to be like not Conquest with a twist. It needs to be Battlefield with a twist. That's the point of a limited time mode.
Yeah, it needs to bring something special. That obviously it's going to be a mid-season update. That the thing about the mid-season event is super, super smart, because it kicks off when people playing the game are starting to they're going to wane a little bit. They're going to be like, that new season of Apex over there is looking really good right now, or hey, they just did some really big changes over there. I'm thinking about stepping away. So you need a little bit more of that, like initiative or something to bring people back to the game, and limited time only events, stuff like that. The skins, as well as getting to play new experiences, definitely really fun. And then, like we said, the experiences that we got that were kind of crappy, I'm excited to see what they do with them, because I think that's the most exciting thing. Is they said, yeah, we're bringing these back, but we're not just going to bring them back. We're going to say, hey, we're going to make the improvements. We're going to take the feedback that we had gotten from you originally when we released these, and we're going to make sure that they're better.
Yeah, I think it's I think it's a good way to do it, because I think when you do limited time modes and they're just there for a week and like they're not good, it kind of looks bad. I think that it's almost like they can't make a proper game mode other than the ones that are already like established, like Conquest and stuff. But to be fair, they only have a limited amount of time to make them, and then it's around for a week. They don't get the feedback to balance them properly. So it's going to be nice to actually see like them actually listen to our feedback, and hopefully if they improve them all, I think it'll give us a lot of hope that like for the, not even just for this game, but moving forward, just the same as with the maps, although, the map reworks haven't all been 10 out of 10 by any means, but I think all of these things do add up to giving us a bit more trust when they do listen to the feedback and then they come back and fix stuff. It's all just a learning experience for the next game, in my opinion. So yeah, I'm keen to see how they can handle it, and hopefully they can do well with them, because yeah, I think that's something that in the next game I'd like to see is something change around the game modes. Like we obviously want the key modes, but I would love to see Battlefield like, not if they're going to mess with stuff, don't mess with like the class system like they did in this game and stuff. Try some different modes. Yeah. Try some, I don't know, like smaller scale modes, or even like how they've done Rush Chaos, like the extra large Rush. Stuff like that. That's a cool concept that they can do that isn't really messing with the core of the game. It's just a game mode. If you don't like it, you can go play Conquest. But it does give a different way to play the game, because I remember they never really used to have Breakthrough. And Breakthrough is my favorite mode now. So like I want them to do that again and add another to the, the key Battlefield game modes where we've got Conquest and Rush and Breakthrough. It'd be great to have a fourth one and even a fifth one. And I think that's something that I really want them to sort of try and do a bit better in the next game, which is, it's very much easier said than done. It's pretty, I feel like it's hard to come up with game modes at this point, but
especially for a franchise that is such, it's got such a reputation and it's been around for a while. So creating those new experiences, I can see it being a little bit difficult. But like you said, some of our favorite experiences were new modes, and I don't know if you can say out of all of the like limited time only modes, if you can be like, yeah, that's my favorite mode, and I hope it comes to the next Battlefield game. It just hasn't been like that for a while. Yeah,
so that's what I'm keen for, is just to see if they can handle the feedback and like make, some proper modes that then. Not necessarily that meaning these modes will be in the next game. I just want them to show that they can do that.
Yeah.
Because they've shown with all the other stuff, I feel like they have shown they can listen to feedback with everything else. They've changed a lot of the map design. I think going into the next Battlefield, I will feel a lot more confident that the maps aren't going to suck, because they've shown that they really have listened. And again, I think there's only so much they could do with the rework. So it's not like, because the Hourglass one isn't great, I'm not thinking, that sucks. There's only so much they can do, but I think they've learned enough, hopefully, that, like, in the next Battlefield, the map, I feel like the maps won't suck, or at least they're probably not going to be on par with, previous games, but I'm not thinking, oh, God, they're going to be 2042 maps again, and I kind of want the same for game modes where they can, just prove they can change things up and do it successfully.
I feel like there's on that note, there's some really interesting stuff that's been happening around that front. It seems like there are a lot of old DICE developers that are getting rehired to the studio.
Yeah, I've seen that over the last few days.
Yeah, a lot of old faces are coming back to the studio in a way that I think is really exciting. If we look at like what's going to be happening for the future of the game series. So that, like, obviously all of the decisions around the specialist system, all of the weirdness around this game in particular, when it was marketed to us originally, it was like, this is going to be a return for the franchise. And then it just reset everything and made a lot of it worse and took key parts of it out. I feel like that's a lot because of a lack of some of those people that did the past games, that like there's that core DNA from like the past game development cycles. So that's exciting.
It's definitely, I didn't expect that. I kind of thought like a lot of people, it feels like in gaming, like when people move on, see that many devs going back to like studios they used to work at. Except for when it's like, I don't know, 15 years later, and it's like, you look at a lot of the Call of Duty devs and stuff. Infinity Ward like essentially disappeared, like it became not even a studio at one point, and then they came back together. So like in situations like that where like a whole studio kind of comes back, I've seen it, but I've never really just seen like devs that I follow on Twitter just being like, hey, I'm back at like the company I used to work at. It's pretty rare. And so it is exciting to think like, okay, what have they been sold on? Because a lot of them would have left to be like, you know, I want to do something else. The franchise or even the company is not going maybe the way that I want it. Let me go do something else. They have to have been sold on something. I doubt it's just like, hey, we're going to pay you double. Like, it wouldn't be the money. There has to be something, whether that's even just what Vince and Marcus and all those guys are cooking up for the next game. Maybe they've just sold them on that, and all these devs are like, damn, that looks like the Battlefield I used to, you know, work on. I want to be back on that team. So it's exciting from that side of things, where it's more than just a few people getting old jobs back. That's not in itself that interesting. It's more interesting that it's like, what have they, like, why are they going back?
Yeah, why now?
Something there. Yeah. And that excites me just because, I mean, you and I have gassed up Vince so much.
Yeah.
I feel like he's the guy to do that type of thing and be like, build a game that people want to play, but also that the devs go, damn, I want to go back to that. Just the same as like if they tried to get the Battlefront 3 DICE team back together,
yeah,
2 team to make Battlefront 3. If they sold them well enough, I know for a fact like all those guys would be like, yes, I want to go back to that. It feels like it's kind of that for Battlefield. So it's exciting. Obviously, it could just be nothing. They could just be like, yeah, I just kind of want to go back to my old job. Might be nothing to it, but just the fact there's multiple at once is, there's something cooking, that's for sure.
Yeah, it seems like we're getting the band back together kind of thing.
Yeah, which is I think what we all want at the end of the day.
Oh yeah. Now though, like moving back to what we know about. We got some interesting teases around Season 6. So we know some details around Season 6. We know what's going to include. And I'm excited. I'm also hesitant. I don't know if this is enough content for it to actually be a season. Like we had the carryover of the Maverick works that really... It did a lot of work. It carried the game a lot on its shoulders later in the season. And these seasons are, 3 months usually? Yeah.
So I'm the same. I'm not sure, especially because they've technically delayed it. Even though I guess it didn't have a release date, but we all knew that the seasons end and then like the next day the new season starts. So the fact it isn't starting at the end of season 5, that is a delay in my eyes. And with a delay, I'd like to see that be because like we're delaying it so we can add an extra map or like 3 new weapons or whatever.
Yeah.
And to be fair, they didn't say how much. They just said like new weapons. So it could be 10 weapons. We don't know, but I'm not too sure on it. The sort of the thing I was getting at before is that I don't know. I feel like the Redux thing feels like the game's coming to an end for me. They're kind of going through a little flashback.
It's the celebration edition.
Hey guys, yeah. That is literally when I watched the trailer. So I got up early before work to like make the video, and I sat there watching it, and I'm like, okay, so this is the end. I was having like the flashback to that community update from Dennis when they announced, and they didn't really say it. He's just like, and now we leave it with you. That was the vibes I got. I'm like, okay, we're going back through all the old stuff, and then we'll get season 6.
It's happening
and then
again.
That's going to be it.
No,
yeah, and so, but I'm also torn on it because there's a few things that point at that not making sense. Firstly, we know that DICE go on holidays in like the middle of December for about a month. If they're going to end the game it would be ending towards the end of December because of the way that the seasons work. If it's 3 months, it'll be the end of December or roughly the start of January.
Yeah.
But they're going to be away. So you wouldn't think they would be away for the final update of their game. That doesn't make any sense. So that's the part that makes me go, okay, maybe they're not. Maybe they just want to line up the season better with the actual months of the year. So now if we do get season 7 and 8 or beyond, instead of it being like starting in December and being like December, January, Feb, maybe they just want to line it up and be January, February, March. Makes more sense, just the first 3 months of the year being a season. Maybe that's why they're doing it. I'm not really sure. And even just down to like season, if we were to get season 7 on the current timeline, that would be launching in December. But obviously, like I said, they go away. So maybe they don't want to launch a new season in the middle of their holiday, which is like fair enough. So I don't know. Part of me thinks like this is definitely the last season. And part of me also goes, it doesn't really make sense to end it there. Like, if they're going to end it, you'd think that they would just keep it on the current trajectory and end it at the end of November.
Yeah.
And that would be the 2-year mark since it launched. Like, that makes more sense to me. So I'm really torn on it. I don't know how to feel about the delay and what that means. Initially, I was like, this is 100% the final season. There was no doubt in my mind. But then the more I thought about it, I just don't know. It's raised more questions than answers, really.
Yeah, I feel the same way. It's so weird. We're in this such like limbo state. It's like, are we breaking up? Are we not breaking up? Are we still like, are you going to propose to me kind of thing? Like, what's happening? I don't know if we're going to live happily ever after or if we're never going to speak to each other again. I'm really confused. You're sending mixed signals here, okay? But like, if it's going to be October, it's probably not going to be October 10th because that's like exactly when it ends kind of thing, but it's going to last 6 weeks. It's going to have a new map, a new vehicle, new weapons, new gadgets, and a battle pass. Apparently more as well that they'll eventually announce later, but it seems like we're only going to get the one map. Are they just going to shorten the season? I don't think it makes sense to have a 3-month season right now if you're only having one map. You don't have a specialist. You don't have a map rework. It doesn't make sense. I'm not going to come back to the game to try out the new weapons. I'm just being honest here. The thing that's going to make me come back is some limited time only mode, which we know is part of their plan. It's part of the structure when it comes to a season is they have the map at the beginning of the season. Second month, they have the mid-season event. And then up until this point, the third month, we had the map rework. And I'm not sure how all of this works to bring people in. Is this a final nail in the coffin? Like you said, the timing's really weird. So it'd be October, November, December. So we would be getting the end of the season December, late December, January.
Yeah, it would essentially be either Christmas or like just after New Year's, which to me just is weird timing.
Yeah.
It kind of it makes sense from like, that's when the year ends. So I guess it makes sense for the season to end then too, but it just feels weird. I don't know. You don't really see games ending on like at the end of a year.
Yeah.
It just feels weird. I don't know. And that's a good point. Like maybe they are shortening the season. Maybe that's why they're delaying it. Maybe it still would be the last season and it just goes from October till November and then they end it and they go on holidays. I don't know. But I really have no idea. They said about new features, like they're like we're bringing a new map or like new content and new features. So like what if they're adding new features to the game, unless it's just something small, like I don't know, but adding stuff like that doesn't feel like the end of the game either. So yeah, I don't know. It's like impossible to read right now. At the end of season 4, when they hadn't announced season 5 yet, that I was the same. I was like, this is definitely the end. We had a whole episode talking about that. And then the next week they announced season 5. So as much as I feel like the game's coming to an end, I can't really be certain of that until they actually say it, which is kind of annoying because it kind of means I'm going to have my hopes up. Like I almost want to think it's the end of the game so that if they do announce season 7, then it's exciting.
Mm-hmm.
But I feel like right now it's almost like I'm like 50-50, but I'm probably more like 51-49 leaning towards they're potentially going to go beyond season 6. So
I think so. With some of the teases, I don't know if it was in the video or if it was just something that one of the devs said on Twitter, but I have a clear memory that they said something about like, and the months to come or something, like something was like they were alluding to after season 6, which makes me excited and happy. And I think, like we said before, this is what it needs to happen, but I feel like they just need to straight up say it. They need to say, hey, this is what we're doing. We're going to get you all the way to the end of 2024. And hey, you'll be on this journey with us. Well, the other teams in DICE, they're working on the big boy game. But this team, we're here. We've got your back. We're going to continue adding new features, new updates, new maps, and all of that stuff and gathering the information because I feel like that's the best opportunity right now of like you have the perfect beta without actually it being a beta.
Yeah, that's the issue. That was the main issue for me, was just the way that the whole development update thing. That I think is why I was a bit annoyed and like a bit, sort of thinking, oh, this is the end. Because to me, it was kind of like, okay, they've posted they're doing a development update. In my head, it was either A, they're announcing content beyond season 6, or B, they're announcing the end of the game. That was the two only options. And they did neither of them because it wasn't really a development update. It was just, hey guys, we're delaying season 6 for 1 month. That could have just been a tweet.
Mm-hmm.
It didn't need to be a whole 2-minute little trailer. Don't get me wrong, the Redux stuff was good. Like I said, I think that's a good announcement, but they kind of gassed it up as like to me, a development update means we are updating you on like essentially the future of the franchise or the current
That's
game.
kind of what they've used them for so far.
Yeah. And so like this wasn't like the Redux announcement was cool, but that's not really a development update. It's just kind of like we're having a month of flashbacks. It's not updating me on the development of the game. Like that's not the future of the game. There's another season coming after that. So if it was the final, if we weren't getting season 6 and this was the final thing, then technically that's a development update. They're talking about the final thing, but I don't know, the way that they worded it kind of just that. I think that's why a lot of people were, not that I've really seen a lot of disappointment, more just people are confused because it did seem to me like it was definitely going to be a big announcement. And I don't think the Redux thing was a big announcement at all. It was just kind of like, yeah, this is cool, but like, what else? Like, what, is that all? Are you going to tell us, are we getting more seasons or I don't know. I just think they need to commit to it. Just say one way or the other. If they're definitely not doing season 7, just tell us.
Yeah.
It's not going to affect. I'll still play season 6. I'm not going to be like, oh, screw those guys, I'm going to move on. No, I'll still be playing the game. But it's going to make me not annoyed when it does finally get cancelled.
Yeah, don't pull the rug on us. Make sure, like they did with Battlefield 5 and Battlefront 2, they just were like, yo, we're not doing this anymore. Peace.
Yeah. A bit of warning goes a long way. If I had known Battlefront 2 was ending in April, from like January, I wouldn't have, like, I'd obviously still be sad about it, but I wouldn't have cared. I wouldn't have been like pissed off.
Yeah.
Because they would have announced it and I would have been like, okay, now I've got time to like mentally prepare for the game not being around anymore. But because they just, they just
deep
pulled the rug,
depression that it sent me through.
Literally just ruined my entire existence.
Yeah.
So like, yeah, I don't know. They need to just tell us. And I think they're scared of like doing that. Just tell us.
Or they may not even know internally, but they should be freaking. They should. I don't care if you're scared to ask your boss if we're going to do more stuff. Go ask your boss if we're doing more stuff.
Yeah, they need to. If the excuse is that they don't know internally, we'll figure it out. That's the answer. Like if they don't know, that is their job to find that out. They need to go to EA. They need to. Surely they have enough like intel from 5 seasons now to know whether it's financially viable or not. If it's still up in the air after nearly 2 years of whether the game can be supported for like another year, that's pretty poor like bookkeeping, if you ask me. Like, surely you can tell by then. And it's a big enough company that even if it's not going to make money, who cares, man? Just like, it doesn't always have to be bringing in the big bucks. You can do a year where they're making content and it's not really, it might just like break even, or it might even lose a bit of money. It's not going to lose them $50 billion. Like, they're going to just be paying salaries for the developers and that's it. They're not going to be spending money on like bringing in new voice actors and all this crazy new technology and stuff. The game is there. They just need to pay developers to work on the new content.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, even if it loses a bit of money, it's freaking EA, man. They got that many. They got like FIFA and Apex and all these games that are bringing them in so much money. Why can they not invest in this franchise a bit and go, all right, we're just going to take a bit of a loss here, or even break even? It might not even be a loss because the battle passes and stuff surely pay for a fair bit of it. And then just keep going for a year and then, yeah, just cancel it then. Or if they're just definitely certain they don't want to do that, tell us and cancel it. Like,
yeah.
Don't just leave us in the dark. It can't be that hard. That's the kind of the point I'm getting at. It can't be that hard to know. It's either definitely going to lose money or they're not really sure. If they're not really sure, just like bite the bullet and just do it. And if you're certain it's going to be a catastrophic business decision, then cancel it and tell us. Like,
yeah, don't drag it out, guys, please.
So, yeah, it's so confusing the way that they handle these things.
Yeah, I hope that we get a little bit more clarity going forward, but I highly doubt it, honestly, considering what we've gotten so far. But in terms of like what we do know, what do you think about the little map teases that we've got? It looks unique. From what we've got so far.
It's obviously hard to tell because it was just like a legitimate, like 2-second, if that, clip.
Yeah.
But it looked cool. It looked like a night, potentially jungle map, or like it just has some
at least deep forest for sure.
Yeah. So it looked cool. I think that's even just a night. I don't care where it really is. If it's a night map, that's pretty cool. I'm down for that. A lot of people saying it. The people were like, "Oh my god, is this Locker?" It didn't look at all like Locker.
No, it looked nothing like Locker. Yeah. What?
Unless it's like Locker, but the outside's changed to like not being snow anymore. It's like overgrown, or I don't know. Like, I'm not sure, but it could be like that because obviously the inside they had that little like snippet of the like hallway or whatever, and that kind of if that's all they showed and people were like, "Oh my god, it's Locker," then I could be like, okay, like yeah, it looks it's inside, so yeah, I guess there's a similarity. But the outside part, I was like, that doesn't. I don't know where people are getting that from, unless, like I said, it's kind of the same thing as Reclaimed, where it's like their own take on a previous map.
Yeah,
because I've seen like Call of Duty's done that, where they've taken like Nuketown and changed the like aesthetic of it. It's still the same map, but it's like it's just a different setting. So maybe they could do that, where it's Operation Locker, but instead of a snowy mountainside, maybe it's all overgrown now, like the global warming's happened and all the snow melted away or whatever. Maybe they could do that, but I just think it'll be a new map. I wouldn't complain with Locker, but I think they will just stick with what they've been doing. And it looked cool enough. It looked intriguing from the trailer. It's obviously impossible to tell, but it was intriguing, to say the least.
Definitely a little sad that it's not a city map, but it's different. It's not like anything we have in the game right now. Because I was thinking about it, I was like, do we have a forest map? And what I was thinking of was Battlefield 5, but like this game doesn't have a forest map in it.
Yeah.
So this is definitely really unique.
Yeah, I just hope it's not like misleading, where it looked like a forest map and then it's
dude, if they do that, I'm gonna be so pissed. No.
Yeah,
I hope not.
And it has potential to be that because it had that inside section. It could be a really close quarters, like not locker, but it could be like a similar vibe to Operation Locker sort of thing. So it could be that. I feel like they teased the foresty looking area for a reason though. They could have shown anything on the map. Mm-hmm. So
I feel like they have to go all in on it, you know?
Yeah. But I also think just, to be honest, even if it's just a similar setting to like the current maps that we have or something, but it's a night map, that alone is still cool that I think I'll be like interested in it. Because I can't really remember any night maps since Battlefield 1, like DLC. I don't think did Battlefield 5 have any night maps? I don't think it did.
Not that I can remember.
Yeah. Like there was darker, like Devastation was a darker map, but it was daytime. It was just like a burnt city. I don't know, I'm having a mental blank, but I don't think there were any night maps in that. But I remember like the night maps I think it might have been the French DLC in Battlefield 1. I can't even remember. It's been that long. That was peak Battlefront 2 days, so I barely played it. So,
Battlefield 1 definitely had some dark maps.
Yeah.
But I don't know about Battlefield 5.
I don't think it did anyway. There's none that come to mind. So like, yeah, I think it's a cool idea. Just provided visibility is good enough. That's the issue. If you have night maps and the visibility is terrible, you get a bunch of campers. But yeah, I don't know. It looked cool enough to me. It's probably of all the tiny little reveals of maps they've shown, maybe except for Reclaimed, because that looked really unique as well in that first like screenshot we saw of it. Yeah, I'd say this would be the most exciting so far in terms of like just the potential, the concept of it, I guess. Then again, we know that the concept doesn't mean anything because the Hourglass concept is sick and the map is not sick at all.
Yeah. Execution -47, idea 10 out of 10.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm like, honestly, I'm excited. I think the theme of season 6 looks like it's going to be pretty interesting as well. I think it's going to tie everything together. Honestly, at this point, I have full trust in their ability to bring some fun maps. They've shown that they can do it now. They kind of floundered in terms of the map reworks, but every single new map has definitely been better. And like Battle of Nordvik and Spearhead, those were some great ones. That whole experience, like that season, I think perfectly encapsulated what like Battlefield 2042 should have been in every season.
Yeah.
And maybe this is the next version of that.
Yeah, I do think that it felt a lot better when, the whole season tied together really well. That was like the futuristic season. It was like the futuristic buildings, there were the futuristic weapons. Zane, not that he's super futuristic, but he even just his armor and his design looks futuristic a little bit. Like that season just tied together perfectly, and they haven't really done that since then, especially season 5.
Yeah,
that didn't really tie together at all. It was what we got was fine, but it just didn't click for me like the others have, especially season 3. So yeah, hopefully if this is to be the last season too, I think that is like important to kind of have it as a big like the cherry on top sort of thing. You got to tie it all together nicely. If it's just a mess of a season and then the game ends, that's not going to be fun. So I think the pressure's on a little bit if this is the final season. If it's not, then I'm interested to see what happens moving forward. But also, again, like if they are going to go forward, just tell us. Just let us know.
Please, yeah.
Being left in the dark, it's just so annoying. There's nothing worse than a development company just not really telling you what's going on. It's so frustrating.
Yeah, especially at this point where like all you have are your super fans, and then you're gonna conduct all these interviews and you're gonna blast your super fans. Yeah. It's really strange. Yeah. But I think season 6 is going to be very fascinating considering it doesn't have a map rework. I think if we do get more, it's going to be this season will be indicative of what future seasons, if we get them, will be. And it seems like it's got an interesting theme so far, and I'm excited on that front.
Yeah, that's a good point too. That like if we do get more, this is probably the new like default season in terms of what we'll get, because we're not going to get the reworks, we're not going to get specialists. This is the first. I think season 5 was a bit of a transition because we got the rework, but no specialists. So this is the first, like, this is almost the first proper season of 2042, because the others were still like season 1 and all that. Like they were fixing the game quite a bit. There's not that much left to fix. If I'm going to be honest, they just need to put a freaking server browser and the game would feel complete.
Preach, brother, preach.
Yeah. Even though it obviously still has improvements. I'm not saying it's perfect, but it's like the improvements they can make to it are not like requirements. They're more like...
It's not like core functionality.
Yeah. I said that in my recent video, that if they make any improvements to the game moving forward, they are more actual improvements, not obligations. They were obligated to fix their maps because they were so bad. They were obligated to like put the VoIP in and stuff like that. That's not an improvement. That's a base function that should be in there. Even the squad management system, even that recently, that is not an like it improves the game, but it shouldn't be seen as an improvement. It should be seen as a base feature that was missing. So now, though, I do think that anything they add, except for the server browser, that to me is still a base function that should be in the game. But anything else they fix or improve, I don't think they like owe us that now. I think that's an actual like them going, okay, like now we're going to fix some stuff that you guys might not even really care about, but we just want to fix it and make it better.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, this is really the first proper season of like, we're not fixing the game anymore. The game is in its like, it's embarrassing to say because it's nearly 2 years later, but it's in its launch state now. It's in its proper state.
Yeah.
And now we're getting like new content and no like reworks and stuff like that. So it will be very interesting to see how it goes. And then, yeah, like you said, if we do get more seasons, we can't really base those seasons off season 1 to 5 anymore. Can only base them off season 6 moving forward if we do get more. So it'll be I think it'll be a pivotal season in that sense.
Yeah. The next phase of Battlefield is about to begin. Maybe it's the end phase, but it seems like they're teasing on something a little bit more than that. But let us know your thoughts in the comments below if you're watching this on YouTube, or contact@uplinkpodcast.com. If you want to reach out through email. We'd like to thank Ethan Clark for the beautiful thumbnail, all of you for listening, and as always, we'll see you on the battlefield.